door. I kick you out the door. You think that using her will get to me, and if you're right then you're in trouble deep. Cause I won't break, now I know I don't weep. And you're in trouble deep. I don't wanna hear no more. There are certain things I won't ignore. I really think you need to go before I kick you out the door. I don't wanna hear no more. There are certain things I won't ignore. I really think you need to go before I kick you out the door.
Hello, okay. I think I have this working right now. So, looks like it's showing up on my one window here. Double check. Okay, I think I gotta talk a little bit louder. I have a key noise thing so I can reduce background noise. So, yep, it looks like everything's good to go. So, it doesn't look like any watching besides me at the moment, but I managed to finally get this system to work. You can clearly see that you're able to see your own chat conversations. This allows people who haven't been able to be on the live stream or watch the live stream will be able to go back and watch what kind of conversations took place in the chat and all that stuff, instead of having me to read off every single one. And I am back. I just got, well, I'm still in the process of recovering. I had a really nasty cold. It put me down for about a full week. I got it last Tuesday, and I just started recovering on Tuesday there. I got some stuff from the doctors, and that's sort of helping me out on clearing my nose up and all that stuff. But I am back. I'm also got new computer equipment. I had to go and replace a bunch of components in my old desktop that I was using to do the streams and video processing in the first place. Then the parts in the old computer frame and all that stuff were older than 7 years. And I had bearings going bad. I had graphics cards that were crashing if I pushed them too hard. So it just came down to I had to replace all of those items. So unfortunately, I don't have anybody to bounce to see how well this is going off of, so I'm going to go ahead and listen to myself drone on for a second here, and see how that goes. Frame and all that stuff. We're older, and I had bearings going back. Yep, it sounds like it's doing good. So, let us go ahead and move on. Now, pretty much, I'm just going to cover a couple small things for that I've been looking into or have come across my attention that are very interesting. The first one I want to go at is drones, or unmanned aerial vehicle systems. Now, there was a recent incident this last week in Anchorage where there was a drone supposedly snooping in on or watching people, and that was causing major concerns for people in that community. And I'm going to go ahead and get the article playing here in a second, or the news thing. Right now, I just got the commercial getting played out real fast for you. But this is going to bring up some interesting discussion, that is for sure. And okay, there we go.
Tom, some Upper Hillside residents say someone is using it is a high-tech peeping Tom. Some Upper Hillside residents say someone is using a drone to look inside their homes without permission. Police responded to a call about drone activity Monday morning, but say they are not investigating it. Channel 2's Mallory Peebles tells us what people are seeing and why it's concerning to them.
Residents say they're used to having people drive through their neighborhood to take a look at the beautiful view, but they feel like the drone they spotted Monday morning was here for something else.
And actually my children noticed it first, kind of came down, hovered around like above the trampoline down there, went around the house, kind of really low, hanging to the windows, and then went straight up to the tree and then off again.
After going online, Melissa Boland found out she wasn't alone in her drone sighting.
And then somebody posted.
These photos show the drone that neighbors say was flying home to home, in some cases coming within a few feet of windows.
If I had been on a balcony upstairs, I could have hit it with a broom. It was that close.
My gut feeling is that it's here casing homes and trying to find out who's there or not. But it's definitely not a good feeling.
One neighbor even calling the cops.
I called their non-emergency number because I wanted to find out who I was supposed to call. I wanted to follow the proper chain because I wanted it documented.
Police say they came, but since no drone was in sight, no report was taken. APD saying all things drone are handled by the Federal Aviation Administration. The FAA says it's against code to fly a drone over property without permission, to fly no higher than 400 feet above ground, and the operator must be within line of sight. Homeowners say none of those rules were being followed, and it's left them feeling like they're no longer alone in their own home.
The moment you feel like your privacy is taken away in your home, it's not a good feeling.
Residents say even if they don't get answers about who was flying the drone and what they were doing, at least now everyone is more aware of their surroundings. Reporting from Hillside, Mallory Peebles, Channel 2 News.
It is a high-tech peeping Tom. Some upper.
All right. So, as you can see, there's some misinformation definitely within that article there, well, within that news report about operations of UASs and all that stuff. And hey, Santa Clarita, hope you're doing good. About the drone operations and stuff like that. They say that you require permission to operate over someone's property. That is definitely not the case if you're operating at a certain height. And that's usually around 80, 90 feet is where that stops at. And basically, according to the FAA, according to a Congress mandate from the early 1900s, that you are that all navigable airspace is public access or public right of way. It's sort of like having a street and sidewalk. That's all you. If you meet the requirements to be in that, like on the street, if you're driving a car or it's sidewalk, you just got to be on your own 2 feet. You're allowed to be there. So you don't control the airspace directly above your house. I mean, too far above your house. It's a very limited window. Now, if it's true that this drone was operating low enough where it could see into windows, that would be a very interesting thing, because now it becomes an issue of trespass in that kind of a situation. It's not like you can use a drone to sneak into houses, but the problem is most often the cameras that are equipped on a lot of the mainstream drones, like a DJI Phantom 3 and 4, is not really good to look in through windows and stuff like that, and you have to be directly on top of the window you're looking at or trying to look through. Now, as I said, this is all third-hand reports kind of stuff, and some of this stuff could be exaggerated. It has been exaggerated in the past, especially with reports by pilots and stuff like that, involving like a drone being really close to the aircraft, when in fact it was not. And in fact, there was a really good case that's, I think, still ongoing out of New York, where a police helicopter literally followed a drone around part of the city or something like that, or near a park or something like that, because they said the drone threatened, it got too close to the helicopter or something like that. And according to the flight data, it's actually quite the opposite. The drone was operating below 400 feet. The drone was making sure manned aircraft had a wide berth and all that stuff. Now, I'd have to go back and do, more fine detail research, but the thing is there's a lot of just all kinds of stuff with operating drones, and there's been a lot of changes in information and misinformation within the past 3 months since the last time I really dived into like the drone registration, operations, and stuff like that. But I'm going to also zoom down to these comments, which gets quite interesting, because people will start making references to using a pellet gun or using firearms to shoot down drones and stuff like that. But the problem is the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, sat there and said drones, UASs count as aircraft, and it is a felony offense to shoot down or interfere or damage aircraft while they're in operation in the skies. And that's just the felony part, right? And that's a felony right there. That is, you're looking a couple years in prison possibly, depending on who you get for a prosecutor and judge, maybe a jury. But the other thing is also, what about your local laws, local ordinances and stuff like that about discharging firearms in a built-up area? Some places, yeah, you can fire your firearm in the backyard, but guess what? Now you're going to be breaking the law, possibly for your local city or something like that. It's just best to report it to the police in these kinds of instances if you suspect that there's something happening, the police or the FAA. And I know for Anchorage, you've seen, some of you guys have seen it, that they have filmed, well, I filmed the FAA office. There's an FAA office right there in Anchorage. If there's something like this, that's a big, huge issue. And I'm just like, okay, there's still a lot of education and refining that needs to go into with this UAS and drone stuff. And it's going to be something that's going to take me a long time to go through. And I'm actually supposed to be helping out a person on Reddit, like a Wikipedia kind of thing on how to do a drone stuff. The problem is there's been a lot of stuff that's just really coming out. Now let's see here. Another good thing interesting stuff is, people will point out that you got to require registration and all that stuff. And here's a very interesting thing that's been put out by the FAA. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this back over here while I pull up that bookmark. But the FAA has said that the drone operations, once you got it registered, that you are required to show that registration if requested by the police. So essentially, you can be stopped and identified with the drone registration. So if you're doing nothing wrong and you're just flying around, an officer supposedly can come up to you and say, I want to see your certificate of registration kind of thing, and you have to provide that. Now, the tricky part is, last time I delved into the CFRs that cover that kind of issue, there wasn't one publicly published, specifically with drones, that said you're gonna have to you have to provide that registration. The only place where I saw that registration was specifically with large commercial aircraft, and I think it also covered like private aircraft like Super Cubs and stuff like that. It did not apply to ultralights, which is that middle ground kind of thing, sort of like with UASs, drones, hobby, RC aircraft. So, and that's gonna be a big, huge issue on that part, because I'm gonna gotta go through and fine tune through all these CFRs once more to go ahead and find out about this registration is there an actual law, or is this just the FAA saying you should do this or you have to do this, in which case there's no actual teeth to it kind of thing where you can sit there and say, no, I don't have to do it. Now, let's see here. I've got a bunch of PDFs. I got to sit here and go through quite a few here to make sure I find the right one. Background. No, this one is not it. I have probably about 25 bookmarks specifically dealing with this FAA registration stuff. On the registration, I apologize, I should have actually marked that one out from the rest of these. Okay, I'm just going to have to go to the FAQ for drones here. Oh, let's see here. Is it in here? Let's see, registration. Okay. Then one of these FAQs I have on here. Must register. Okay. Owner. Resources. Okay, UAS registration. I think this is the. Let's see. What if I issue? Ah, here it is. Okay, now I'm gonna bring it back over to what I got here, and this is what it is. Will an operator be required to have proof of registration while operating? Yes, the operator require his or her the possession operating unmanned aircraft. That proof of registration may either be on paper or electronic. Oh wait, let's see here. And that was the wrong one. Web-based, weight limit. Yeah, but as is there's, I mean, lots of information that you gotta go through. I see you, Roy, that test. But, let's see here, back to the comments here. They're afraid someone will catch them doing something wrong and they'll not be able to get out of it. Yeah, that's a true possibility with the drone operations. In fact, and down in Texas, there was I think it was a meat processing plant that was busted because a guy who was just randomly flying over a river or stream like that noticed that there was, when he was going back over the footage, that there was this runoff coming off from the plant and going straight into the river. Let's see here. Registration. I'm just gonna say nope. Law enforcement officers might also be able to see this data. Oh, and here's a nice thing: the privacy part. Uncertain circumstances, law enforcement officers might be able to see this data. Pretty much that states, yeah, all law enforcement officers are going to see this data. So, and most likely the FAA is going to hand this data over without any major requirements on that. So, okay, that pretty much covers was. I'm just going to have to find that again, and I'll do a separate video on that specific part. But it's quite interesting what's going on with this whole drone registration stuff. In fact, I'm actually going to be doing this weekend or whatever. I'll be sitting down and doing a registering my setup because I'm going to go out and film a zombie walk thing. And got some friends and family that are going to be participating in it, and they said, "Hey, we want to see this from the sky." So I figure might as well go out and do that. I haven't really ran the drone since December, so before all this registration debacle really kicked off. So we'll be getting that back out into action. So we'll have some new footage from that. I'm also looking at probably going over to the hillside of Anchorage there. And I think I'm going to sort of fly around pretty much above people's properties, about 200 feet or something like that, get some views. And wait for either the police or someone to come down and confront me and sort of give them a little bit of an educational thing. I'm probably going to maybe print out some pamphlets. That's all going to take time if I can do all that and say, hey, here's some information. So this way you understand what to expect from, and from your side. What can you do about your privacy? What's expected of the operator kind of thing, and what can happen with the footage and all that stuff. Because basically, the air, the sky above the ground is public right away after you get above everybody's property. It is public access, and you have no expectation of privacy when viewed from a place that people are publicly able to access. Whether it be remote from like a remote control toy, drone, car, or something like that, to someone standing on a mountain or a ladder or sitting in a helicopter looking down. Yeah, you expect privacy in your backyard because you have this fence. Well, guess what? You're only thinking two-dimensional. You need to think three-dimensionally when it comes to privacy. And that's going to change a huge dynamic on the privacy argument in the next coming years, that's for sure. Now, let's go ahead and oh, drones are too expensive to be stolen by the government, but I do enjoy the bids. Yes, drones are expensive, but they're getting cheaper. In fact, you can get small little drones with cameras on them for about $60, but the cameras are really crappy, the battery life's really short, and they're very difficult to control. Now let's go ahead and move on to my next thing I wanted to cover, and that is Valdosta Police Chief. And this involves an incident where a police officer got really upset about not being able to search the house kind of thing and got very confrontational. And some of you guys may have seen this already, some of you may have not. I'll go ahead and play a little bit of the clip of where it got real bad.
Hey, you're getting you ain't gonna come out here and square up on me, cuz you ain't gonna square up on me.
Okay, and now
But what I'm saying is,
I don't care what you say.
all right, do you mind if we search your house?
You ain't searching shit. You got a warrant?
But I can go get one.
Bye. Bye.
Okay.
Because I don't do shit. Now, you got a problem with those kids? You take it up with those kids. I'm going to tell you something right now. You ain't got a fucking investigation on me. I don't do drugs for
Well, number one, you're gonna quit fucking cussing at me like that. You're gonna
at
quit
my
fucking
house.
cussing at me like that.
All right, and here's the thing. It's like the guy started cursing, is the one that is really cursing, and then the officer goes, the guy goes, I'm not going to allow you to fucking search my house or whatever. And the officer gets pissed off because he's cursing and then starts cursing right after that. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. It's just, that was straight up stupid right there. And the thing is the officer just goes nuts.
I don't give a fuck if I'm at your house or not. You ain't gonna talk to me like that. You understand me?
I think you're getting too close.
Yeah, well, I don't give a fuck what you think I'm fitting to do.
You're getting too close.
You ain't gonna come out here and square up on me, cuz you ain't gonna square up on me. I don't care if you're carrying that side piece on you or not.
I need you to calm down.
No, I need you to sit there and shut your mouth.
And the thing is that was quite the interesting thing. It's gotten actually quite a bit of attention. In fact, let's double check how many views has that gotten, because the 200,000. And this was actually, the story was broken by Cop Block Central Florida, who is currently actually right now sitting in jail. He's serving time for some sort of BS trespass charge. He managed to get this video out to the public and got the story rolling before he went to his trial and was found guilty on that trespass. And so we won't be able to communicate with him too well until he gets done with his jail service, which is about 60 days. That's just a side note. I wanted to put that out there. So, but the thing is this has gotten huge national attention. I've seen this on the Young Turks and a few other places. And so it's definitely a big, huge issue. But what's interesting was the police chief's statement at the end, which goes, they were doing a narcotics investigation at the location of the video, and although I will not condone officers' use of profanity and yelling, there was more to the video than what has been shown. I think it's called, his name is Childress. Childress said, in fact, my review of it found that my officers was wrong in the conduct and his language, but the actions of some other folks while he was doing his investigation was also wrong. But in either case, the fact of the matter is, he is a police officer, and I'm not going to tolerate that. Now, right there, he is definitely right in the middle ground, and I do give credit. He is admitting that his officer was in the wrong. That's good. I would love to see, more police chiefs sitting there and saying, hey, yeah, my officer did the wrong thing, kind of thing. In this investigation or something like that. If something gets out of, hey, so this officer did something wrong, kind of situation, and they, fess up and say, yeah, our officer fucked up in this kind of case. And that's what he's sort of doing. But he's sort of now also trying to shift the blame in that, saying that the conduct and actions of the other people involved was in the wrong. Not really. The expectations on a private individual for their conduct is non-existent for the most part, especially when it's on their own property. I'm not sure if he's referring to the cursing. I'm not sure if he's referring to the fact that they had some sort of firearm on their side or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what he's referring to in that quote, but I can say this much. That person has every single right to curse out the police, to curse at the police on their own property. He also has the right to tell them to leave and trespass them from the property if he finds their conduct to be an issue. A person has those rights. And I think that's one thing that they're not fully, police officers and police chiefs and stuff like that are not fully understanding is there is no law against being a dick. But also, the expectation of an officer not being a dick is pretty high. Because we want them to be held to a high standard. We want them to have a professional conduct. It doesn't matter if Joe Schmo, redneck hillbilly dude, or Joe Schmo, urban ghetto guy, spouts off all kinds of stuff and is cursing. You know what? That's their every single right. They can be an asshole, they can be a dick and all that stuff, as long as they're not breaking the law. And they don't have there is no expectation for the random citizen or a random person to conduct themselves in a professional manner. It's not a requirement, but it's a requirement if you're going to be putting on that suit and badge. Same thing if you're in the military. If you're out in the public, you're supposed to conduct yourself in a certain way when you're in the military. But what gets further into it is also what happened a little bit later on. Is the police chief put out an editorial thing that the Valdosta, the Valdosta Daily Times actually published, which was quite interesting because it goes on about legitimate journalism versus yellow journalism. And as you go through this, he comments about how social media has allowed the prevalence of all these videos getting out there. The technology has changed where everybody pretty much has a camera, some form of fashion from their cell phones to be able to film police. And it's becoming a thing where now it's, I'm looking to get that hotshot video. And for some people, yeah, they are looking for that one. They're just digging, looking for that one officer to fuck up to make a viral video. There is people out there, I can guarantee it. But there's other people out there that are doing it just for the accountability. And so, let's see here. And then he gets down to what's an interesting thing. The Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics lists several standards which should be exhibited by news organizations to include those who proclaim themselves as journalists, one of them being ethical journalism should be accurate and fair. Journalists should be honest and courageous in gathering, reporting, and interpreting information. And then he goes on, journalists should take the responsibility for accuracy of their words, verify the information before releasing it, using original sources whenever that's possible. And that's true, yes. In fact, there's a great example of where that did not happen. That's the Rolling Stones that had that one journalist roll out that article about the one rape victim and only told it from her side without really checking the facts on the other side. And also, while there was no criminal case that was pending, she never reported the cops or anything like that. And the editors allowed that to be published. And that caused huge problems for the fraternity that was accused for having the so-called party and all that stuff. To the point where I think it was the fraternity and the college are both suing the newspaper, the magazine, Rolling Stones, over that because of its slander, liability, defamation, it's all kinds of stuff. because it was just straight up bad reporting. And those kinds of things do happen. But if you go and check out the thing here, let's see if we can pull up this site again. Society of Code. There is a some other interesting stuff here that I wanted to point out here. Consider the source's motives. Okay, and here it is. Recognize a special obligation to serve as watchdogs over public affairs and government. Seek to ensure that public business is conducted in the open and that public records are open to all. I think you might have missed that part, kind of thing. Because one of the other problems is I think the police chief has been refusing to identify the officer. And there's been a lot of requests for information on who that officer is. In fact, someone I do know, Jeff Gray, and I'm on talking terms, and JC Playford were just recently over in that area trying to get information from the police department about who the other officer was and all that. But the problem is they pretty much are tight-lipped over there. They're keeping their mouth shut. And let's see here. Never deliberately distort the facts or context, including visual information. Clearly label illustrations and reenactments. And the thing is this video is showing very clearly what is happening. Now, it may not show it all visually. We only got that perspective of where the camera's pointing at. But it gives a very clear picture of what is happening. And what we got going on is we have an officer that's stepping over his constitutional limits, trying to search the place. He's acting outside a professional manner, chewing the guy out because he cursed at the officer, which is a constitutional right, needless to say. And this has actually got quite some interesting stuff with the code of ethics. But you also got to remember, not everybody subscribes to these codes of ethics. And there's more than one news organization, group, kind of thing, that have different ethics. And that's the other issue, is morals and ethics can be different based off of each individual cultural group or business group or something like that. One thing might be good to go for one, might not be for the other. And so, I mean, you have all this kinds of stuff, all these ethics for one organization, and he only cites one. He doesn't cite any others. He's just going straight for one group. And I know there's a couple other groups that sort of have their own ethics and standards like that, where you sign up and you're working with them and you get that kind of backup. And he goes in and sort of digs into the yellow journalism stuff a little bit more and all that. And when I get done, I'm going to go ahead and have all this stuff pushed into the, put in the description of the final video when it gets launched, however long it takes YouTube to render all of that. And so that pretty much covers that stuff for now. So, what do you guys think? Doing pretty good with these live stream? Enjoying the fact that you can see your cat stuff in the little window there? It took me a little bit to figure out how to get to working. I see some sort of a little alien face kind of thing. I don't know if that's supposed to refer to as Illuminati or something. I have no idea. I'm gonna have fun with that. But yeah, it's been quite the busy couple of weeks and all that stuff. I'm sorry I haven't done any videos or anything like that. And let's see, I have a suggestion for filming when there are two doing it, but don't want to show it. Okay. Yeah, you can, yeah, if you want to send me YouTube messages, I don't constantly check my YouTube message box, but I do receive them. And if there's, something worthy for me to respond to or whatever, or the conversation needs to continue in another form of fashion, I will toss out other means of communications. That's actually how I communicated with, like, Time to Stand and Santa Clarita Cop Watch there, so. Yeah, and also I keep in mind that there's roughly, I think, about a 60 to 120-second delay on the chat, a 1 to 2 minute delay, well, between what I say and it, where you guys are able to hear to it, listen to it, and respond to it. And I'm hoping to get back to doing some more interviews and stuff like that in the future. I just haven't had a time to really line up and stuff. I know there's been quite some interesting stuff happening over in Florida. And also down there in California, the new guys that are all popping up. I'm quite amazed, around the LA area. There has been, I think, in the past 3 months, there's been about 5 channels that have popped up. People getting out there and getting their feet wet, filming, and doing tests and stuff like that, and starting to get an idea of what's going on, and showing what they're doing from their perspective. I'm going to enjoy watching you guys grow out there, so you're getting it within seconds. Oh, that's pretty good then, I have to say. Now, probably this is going a little bit quicker than I was expecting, but anyway, time to move on to future BBI events and what I sort of got planned. And I sort of mentioned one already, is I'm gonna get the drone back out there and probably do some education stuff over there in the hillside of Anchorage. It's actually unrestricted airspace. There is Campbell Airport, if I remember correctly, that is close by to that area, but it doesn't have any controlled airspace near it. Though Anchorage is still a very busy air hub for the region. It is very vital. In fact, most of the transportation that comes in and out of Alaska for people and stuff is actually by air. It'll fly into Anchorage, get processed, and then shipped out to other locations. It could be out to Nome, Juneau, and stuff like that. It's pretty much the big, huge hub for the Alaska. And Alaska's pretty huge, and we got very little infrastructure up here. Oh, well, thank you for that thing. The photographer auditor, the chief did say the officer was told that if he did this again, he would be fired. Verbal discipline. Hopefully, he holds true to that. If it does happen again, hopefully the officer wisens up and learns to understand what his limitations are for the badge. The badge should not grant unlimited use of force or intimidation on people. That's something that should not happen. It's a very sad thing with what happened over there in Valdosta. How is it? Valdosta. I think I got that name pronounced right. I actually looked that one up with a name pronouncer, so I'm very bad at the English language. Oh, and I was raised with it. But that's quite the interesting thing on that. Also, what I'm going to make an official announcement. I am going to start up a Kickstarter. And pretty much, I am looking to relocate down to Texas for college and all that stuff. But at the same time, while I want to do this move down there, I want to be able to hit up places and all that stuff and film. And so I'm going to get a Kickstarter going, hopefully in the next month or two, where I'm going to say, hey, bring the silent treatment, Bunny Boots Inc. to other parts of the United States. And what I want to do is first try to get the part of the money raised up for getting that shot down to Austin, which is where I'm aiming at. I'm actually going to try to do college at the same time as doing all this First Amendment stuff, because I got college money I have to use up. I got a 10-year ticker that's about almost finished up. I got to get that rolling for that college money. And at the same time, network and all that stuff. And if I can raise that initial goal, I'm going to have additional milestones that will hopefully allow me to stop in like Los Angeles and work with the people that are in those areas, or Portland, or go all the way over to Florida and team up with PINAC. Who knows? If there's enough money, maybe I'll end up over in like New Hampshire and stuff like that, and meet up with the main cop block guys that are up in that area, and see how that all works out. I still got to work out setting up all that stuff. I got to get the art. I got to make the video. So that's going to take some effort on my side. I just got to work it out with all the other stuff I got going on, because I got to make it by on the daily living kind of stuff. Make sure I have a roof over my head, food to eat, and all that stuff. So, not easy to do, especially with a really bad economy the state of Alaska is currently in. So, I'm just like, yep, I need to do other stuff. The other issue is we're pretty much running out of places to film. There's a couple spots I can go and film up here that I can sort of get to, but the problem is it costs a lot of money to get to those locations. In order for me to do the filming I do in Anchorage and some of the other places, it's an hour drive, and I no longer have a car or my own personal car. That blew up last year, unfortunately. So right now I'm just been bumming rides, mass transportation, that kind of stuff, and those are Santa Clarita. You are required to come to LA. Yes, I agree. I should end up down there at some point so I could hang out with you guys and do some show you off the silent treatment and really drive people up the wall kind of stuff. But it takes me it takes quite a bit. I mean, especially back when the gas prices were almost $4 a gallon kind of thing, $3-4 a gallon. It was quite pricey to make the trips into Anchorage, even with a gas zipper. And unfortunately, I don't have my own vehicle anymore, where I have to borrow and all that stuff, beg, borrow, steal kind of thing to use to get out to Anchorage to do some stuff. And I haven't had that chance to go and do filming. And I know quite a few of you guys are like, when's the next silent treatment? When are you going to go out and do the next film? Well, it's just I haven't had the opportunity or the means to go and do it. But I have gotten some interesting insider information for someone for a company that I have to go and test again. And I've tested them in the past, and their staff members failed horribly. But I've heard some more very concerning information that's going to require me to travel a lot further. And I'm trying to work out the transportation requirements for doing that test. And it should be quite interesting, because I know how to poke them a certain way where they're going to end up with a response. They're going to come out, and I don't even think I'm going to have to do much. I'm probably just going to have to point a camera at that place, and they're going to come out automatically from the information that's been told to me. And the thing is I'm not too surprised. It's coming from some citizens that are concerned, that had some issues in that area. And and the thing is it's a long drive. I'm looking 5-hour drive from where I'm at. I think road travel is almost 450 miles. So it gives you an idea of the distance I have to cover in order to do some of this stuff. Now, if I was fortunately to be like down stateside, down in the lower 48, continental United States, where I live like an hour outside Portland, there's tons of options for filming and all that stuff. And yeah, I know that, and I completely understand what you're going through, man. So with the your personal issues, and I mean, if someone wants to help out or show up and join forces to go and do one or two things I want to go and film, that'd be that would be swell. But as is we also got to focus on our local areas, because that's where we make the biggest impact and where we can be the most cost efficient. Because I also look at this sort of like a business sort of standpoint. You got to make sure your every cent counts, because you don't get much from the ad revenue if you monetize your videos. People that donate. I love the fact that people donate to help people out that are doing this stuff. They're, handing out gifting cameras and stuff like that, or gifting, decent amount of money and stuff like that. But it's not consistent, and it's something that we got to work. We got to work with the resources that we have at hand. And currently, right now, the best way I can be cost efficient is to do these interviews, these live streams. It allows me to generate a little bit more revenue that I can try to put into getting out to these locations and filming and all that stuff. And you don't make much on these. It's very little. And if you see, like, if you have some sort of little thing that tells you how much a channel possibly earns in a month, I probably earn, depending on who you're looking at, I earn on the low end of the spectrum to maybe 60% of what they state. Depends on how they do their metrics and all that stuff on measuring them. So it's a very, very difficult thing to pay for all this stuff, and I don't have much of my own disposable income to really do anything. I put more into this than I get out of it when it comes to the money. But I do like the fact that if people do donate, I do have a donation thing at in my channel thing on my main channel page, where you can go and hit the about, and there's a donation button where you can go and donate to PayPal if you're feeling wanting to donate money and all that stuff. I'm not gonna sit here and beg the donations because I don't expect it. I try to be self-sufficient as much as possible, but those donations do help out. And I've had some pretty generous donations in the past. And they come from surprising places. I think I had one from Norway once. So, that was quite a generous one. I think it was like $50. But is there anything you guys want to point out? Is there anything you want me to look at real fast before I end this live stream? I managed to buy a Ferrari to my YouTube channel. I love that comment. It was only a Hot Wheels version, though. Yeah, I wish I could afford a Ferrari. Well, actually, no, I take it back. I wouldn't want a Ferrari. I want a Porsche. I'm more of a Porsche fan, but I mean, to each their own when it comes to being a fandom of cars or what other vices or entertainment things that they love. And who knows? Maybe I'll have one of the new cop watchers on for a live interview where you'll be able to field questions. Hopefully in the near future. I would love to get some more promotion out for those smaller channels that are just getting started. They're getting their feet wet and all that stuff. But I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, since that's all I got to really speak about, and this was more or less a quick update on what I got going on right now, and I threw in some extra stuff. That way you can learn what's going on. I got that wiki I'm working on for the drone operations that will help people out, hopefully. Well, let's see here. I'm looking to land drones, but the cameras aren't that good. Well, aren't good with no audio unless you strap a GoPro. Well, the thing is with the drone, if you listen to the noise the drone propellers make, well, if it's a quadcopter or something like that, or just the wind going in the mic, you're not going to get really good audio. You're just going to hear this. You're going to hear either the buzzing of the blades, or you're going to hear the wind noise. And it's actually quite loud. There isn't really any good audio that's going to come from a drone. I would be surprised if someone managed to get some really good audio, and that would most likely be with some sort of directional mic or something like that. There isn't really a good audio situation. But GoPros are pretty much the standard for throwing on there for getting high quality, because I mean, they're one of the smallest 4K cameras you can get right now. And 4K is pretty much the stopping point for the current visual tech stuff. It's been quite the race on that end. I do enjoy making videos in 4K. I don't have a display that shows 4K, but I do see the improved quality, especially if you end up doing any kind of zooming in. And so that's the situation when it comes to those. And what was it? DJI just recently came out with that new Phantom 4, which looks really interesting. The fact it's got built-in anti-collision detection systems. I'm not sure how good they are, but it's definitely a good step in the right direction to helping a lot of the new people that get out there. It's just unfortunately very expensive. I mean, you're looking at forking out roughly around $1,200 to $1,500 depending on who you're buying from, unless you get a good chance on a sale or something like that. But that's good news for other people because you can get those Phantom 2s, the old Phantoms, and the Phantom 3s for a cheaper price now because they're going to stop money. Those are now old tech. But as is, I am going to go ahead and call this an end of a stream. And I'll see you guys around. I'll probably when I do the registration, I'll probably screen capture that and talk about what I learned from the information that they have in there and compare it with what I currently know about the laws and all that stuff. And see how that all goes. And yes, I will definitely let you know when I go to Houston. I do have personal contacts that do live out in that area. I think I'm not sure if they still live in the Pasadena area or not. So there is definitely a lot of work that I can do with a low budget down over in Texas. That is for sure. Yeah, well, just make sure, yes, the cameraman, I would fly a drone over a DUI checkpoint. Yes, you're completely legal, but you also got to make sure you check the airspace that you're in. And, and that reminds me, they just recently did a new update for the OBS screen capture software that I demoed that's free, to show you how to do screen capturing, and I'm going to go back over and redo that entire video about how you can do your own personal screen capturing for if you got a mirror video or you're doing your own, like, you need to record something like from a newspaper, a news site, and you don't want to sit there and shove the camera up against the computer screen. This way you can sort of make yourself a little bit more professional looking when you do that. So that is also on the list of things to do that I'm trying to knock out. So that's about it. You guys have a nice day, afternoon, or weekend. Well, a weekend for most of you guys. So have a nice night.